Welcome everyone back to the F1 2018 career mode, and you join me today for the Hungarian Grand Prix, round number 12 on the Formula 1 calendar, and a bit of a bogey circuit when it comes to me on these Formula 1 games. I always have next to no pace around this circuit. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the cars I drive or the way that I drive or whatever it is. I just don't appear to be able to get any pace around these circuits. But let's try and change that in this year's game, because I don't know if I've said it before, but circuits where I feel like I was slow in last year's game, I feel like there's been an improvement in me. Now, I don't know if that's a circuit design or me just, I don't know. But China last year was a big example. I wasn't very quick around China, and this year's game, that's where I got like a top 10 qualifying position and like a really good result. So that's the one that I can take as an example. So let's see what will happen in this year's game with myself driving the Force India, the Pink Panther, as it were, and we head on to our very first qualifying lap down towards turn 1 here. Always a hard braking zone to judge, but just after the 100-meter board is where I found to be good, as you can then just trail brake into the corner, bring it to the apex, and almost slingshot it out in a nice pendulum sort of motion. And then we head down towards turn 2. Ericsson sets the first lap time of an 18.6. That, of course, won't be the timesheet topper of the session, but you know, Marcus there. Fastest lap for a little while. We come towards the end of the first sector. Perez sets a more representable time for ourselves of 1:18.2. That's probably what we should be aiming for, as he is our teammate, and we're 300ths down on that through the first sector. What can we do through the middle as we go towards the chicane? 50-meter board, braking, took a too much inside curve. That actually put me out of position for the next one, and that hampered my run through that sort of chicane section. And then we just go through the long right-handers. It's all about your apex and where you get on the power to carry speed through those. And this really quick right-hander through near the end of the session ran it out really wide. We're half a second down on Daniel Ricciardo, but I'm not too sure where that puts us in position versus Sergio Perez. That's who I'm looking to beat of people that have done the laps so far. A few people have done the laps. Ricciardo still the fastest on a 16.3. This circuit should more suit the Red Bulls, so expect them to be more in competition this weekend. Then we just wait forever to get on the throttle, and you can see we've already run out of ERS, so that's hampered me up towards the line. But we do a 17.6, and we beat Perez there by about 0.6 of a second. But I definitely feel like I could do more. So come the end of the session, this was my third attempt, and Perez has already jumped me. So yeah, this is our lap where we're going to try and do more, and this time I'm going to try and manage the ERS a little bit and not run out of it through the final couple of corners there on the lap. So we see there our delta shooting up in comparison to our turn 1. By the end though of the first sector, we're slightly down on our delta and 0.7 off overall, but we can definitely go faster through the rest of the lap. So this is where I talked about it in the German Grand Prix last time. Just running high for the middle sector, not as much burning of ERS, and I feel like we took that chicane a hell of a lot better, albeit I kicked the rear end out there on that massive curb, and again running very wide through the right-hander, but still only half second down on the best time. It's through this final sector where I feel like we can do better, and this is where I feel like where I've saved up the extra ERS. We're going to gain a bit of time as we're up to hot lap mode, and now we're going to see it as we exit out of this corner, then through the final corner, just carry so much more speed. In fact, I've actually gone out wide. I've carried too much speed through the corner. It's cost me versus my delta, and on the final lap we've bottled it, and we're still P12. We could have been up a couple of positions, but we actually lost more positions there, as Sebastian Vettel is on pole for the Ferrari, just over a 10th clear of Verstappen and Ricciardo. Then Raikkonen, the Mercedes, down in P5 and 6, Hulkenberg and Sainz up in 7th and 8th, and the Force India as well. Perez is down in 12th, and I'm down in 14th. The only positive I can take away from this, the Haas of Grosjean was less than a 10th quicker than me, and he was 11th. So from 11th down to 14th was less than a 10th. So that goes to show the midfield battling, and it goes to show we definitely still have some pace, and we're not too bad. You know, I messed up the lap myself, definitely nowhere near perfect. Could I have found 0.8 to be up there with Hulkenberg? Probably not. But let's see what happens here. For the Hungarian Grand Prix, what can we do from P14? It does mean we can go on our more optimal strategy that we enjoy, which is the one-stop. And you can see there, loads of the cars, even down to Pierre Gasly, was down to a 1:19. So, I've talked about it for a while, and I finally did it between qualifying and the race. We're going to put Nico Hulkenberg as our rival, because, well, I talk about it all the time. That's who I'm aiming to beat. It's P7, and it means beating Renault in the championship. We're going to beat Hulkenberg in a rivalry, and we're going to start here at the Hungarian Grand Prix.
We've seen some astonishing Grand Prix here over the years, haven't we? The drama of 2015 is a recent example. Jenson Button's first win on a wet track in 2006, or in 1997, Damon Hill's heartbreak in the Arrows after a late gearbox failure cost him what would have been the team's only ever victory. What a wonderful place this is to come racing today. 14 corners then for our drivers to navigate at the 2.7-mile Hungaroring today. It's 6 lefts and 8 rights around a lap here, with average speeds in the region of 120 miles per hour. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let's talk about Ferrari. They've had one retirement in the last 5 races. What do you think that says about the reliability of their car?
I think they can be fairly pleased with that record so far. The first thing any good car needs is a solid, reliable base with which to build on, and they seem to have that this season.
So there we have it. The build to the Hungarian Grand Prix. What a race this could potentially be for us here. We've got a midfield that has 6 cars we saw in qualifying. 6 cars all separated by just over a tenth of a second. And like I said as well, this puts us potentially, due to where we're starting on the grid, a much more optimal strategy for ourselves here in the Force India. The old one-stop, the glorious middle tyre to the hardest tyre available, because it's another one of those weird ones this season that jumps from the... It jumps from a compound. So you have the ultra soft, which is the softest tyre, and then you have the soft tyre, which is the middle tyre. Now, I tried looking at running ultra soft, but I have physically had no fresh sets of ultra soft left. So we're going to have to go soft to medium, and the only reason I was thinking more about the strategy is because I know around here my car struggles, so I wanted to try and get any kind of advantage that was possible. I even considered, moving the stops around, just anything to get me ahead of the AI, but nothing doing. So we're going to stick with that strategy, the old one-stop. Just one lap of extra fuel, because I found the car's been very good on its fuel recently in the Grand Prix as we build. With the 5 red lights are out, and away we go for the Hungarian Grand Prix. They held me for a while. I was preparing on that. I've had a shocking start. Sorokin surges past us. There goes Van Dorn and Gasly. We're already down to P17 from P14. We're going to make that up by lunging on the brakes. Don't want to be too late into the corner, or I'd have barreled into the rear of my teammate Sergio Perez there. Alonso's had a poor start. He's down from 9th there. Perez up a position, then Stroll in 13th place. We're getting attacked from Sergei Sorokin, potentially around the outside into turn 2. No, Magnussen's had an absolute shocker. Perez gets past him and then drives clean past the Haas of Roman Grosjean. So Sergio Perez already up into the points paying position there. Good on here, lad. But we have to settle in for position there behind Stroll. Magnussen's going very slow. We've actually had to take a wide line through the left-hander at 5, and then Stroll has to settle back in behind Magnussen. Both those two battling fairly hard, and I saw some damage there, a little bit of debris. And Stroll very slow into the chicane. We nearly caught our front wing on the back of his car, but that's us up into P13. Now it's about, can we hold with the pack ahead of us? Magnussen there is down. He started on ultra soft tyres. He's going to be getting out our way very, very soon. Hopefully soon is this lap, but no, you'll see it there. At the end of the second lap, we lost a lot of ground to Magnussen out of the final corner, and believe it or not, that's pretty much a trend for the whole Grand Prix. Just struggling to get drive out of that corner, but we are all being held up. There's a big old train of cars here that leads directly into the points. It's actually being held up by a slow Red Bull, which is very unfortunate considering they qualified P2 and P3. This track much more suits their car, and it means they can be much more in the fight with Ferrari and Mercedes. But you see they're just losing time out of the final corner, but we're still up behind Magnussen here, moving on to lap 4. Can we look to do anything about him, or are we just going to have to sit behind him through this section? Just look at the train of cars as we go through the hairpin. But Ricciardo now, by the end of lap 5, has fallen back, and this appears to be the lap where everyone who's running the ultra soft tyre is pitting. That apparently includes my teammate Sergio Perez, so that might explain why he did so well off the line and was able to drive past both Haas cars, because he was running on the ultra soft tyre. But we are now up into P6. Make that P7 as Stroll attacks me into turn 1. We try and hold it around the outside, but I've actually taken a bit of curb, and that's compromised my exit. And Lance Stroll, in my old team, not my old car, because Sorokin, thankfully, is still behind me, but Stroll just powered past me, and then he tried disappearing off into the distance, and he was doing a bloody good job of it. Come the end of lap 6, the other Renault is in the pits, because both Renaults there are now committed to a two-stop strategy because of their qualifying position. Then Sorokin charges past me on the outside, clear to show that he is the absolute rookie because he can't go past me on the outside. I make that impossible for him. And then we've got the DRS, thankfully, off of the back of Stroll. We were just close enough to him, apparently. We stayed with him. This is on to lap 8 now. Pierre Gasly, who, remember, qualified down in 16th place, but was only a couple of hundredths off me. In qualifying is now up behind me there, and we're just following Stroll. Gasly following me. There's a Ferrari coming out the pit here. It's Kimi Raikkonen onto a set of ultra soft tyres. So what is that? His first off? Is that his second? That's really out of sync with everyone else. Kimi might have pushed his ultras to go a little bit longer than everyone else there at the start of the Grand Prix, and that means he could, but no, he's on ultra softs again, so he's definitely committed himself to a two-stop strategy here. Anyway, him on his fresh tyres and faster car has meant that he has just cruised up to the back of Lance Stroll, tries to go defensive into the next right-hander, but Kimi's having none of it, just darted all the way to the inside line of the Williams car, and that meant he's now up into P3. Stroll, though, still doing very well in P4, and I'm really struggling to catch him. In fact, I'm having to look more in my mirrors at the Toro Rosso of Pierre Gasly, rather than in front of me, the Canadian of Lance Stroll. But here we go, once again, just out the corner, DRS open, and I'm just so slow off of that corner. It allows Gasly, even in the Honda-powered Toro Rosso, to come at me. But he's left the door wide open into turn 1, late on the brakes, a little bit too late for my liking. Gives Gasly the potential to switchback move on me, but no, he can't. He can, however, try and go around the outside of turn 2. He hasn't quite had the ideal run because of our DRS, so we just brake a little bit late, squeeze him out wide, and that means he's not going to cut underneath me there. We are actually, believe it or not, ruining the race of a Ferrari and both Mercedes by the looks of things in that gaggle of cars. But Sebastian Vettel is now up into P6, and he's going to be the guy attacking me out of the final corner. And, well, when it's Sebastian Vettel, it's a little bit different because of the absolute sheer speed of that Ferrari. He's on the soft tyre, so what split strategy are Ferrari running this afternoon makes absolutely no sense to me. I suppose Raikkonen is the one in the championship hunt versus Lewis Hamilton. Vettel's some 30 points back. Speaking of Hamilton, there he is on our outside of turn 2. He's on ultra soft tyres. And sorry, Hamilton, but I really don't feel like moving out of your way. I am going to defend this position because I'm still trying to catch Lance Stroll, where Hamilton then had a go at me on the very next lap onto the pit straight, and you just see the speed of him with his DRS open and everything, just pull straight past me. Nothing I can really do about that one, unfortunately, but come the end of the stint, it's lap 14. Lance Stroll is going on for one more lap. I'm diving in, so we're hopefully going to get a bit of an undercut there on Lance Stroll. We're going to be coming in for our one and only pit stop of the Grand Prix to fit the medium compound tyre. Nice and composed and relaxed on pit entry. Don't want to push the white line. Don't want to get any kind of penalty. Can we utilise this undercut and get ahead of Lance Stroll? That is the question. It was a 2.2 stop by the Force India boys, so a very good pit stop. We appear to be the first runner on the soft compound tyre to make their pit stop. Lost 21 seconds there in the pit lane. Don't know how much that's cost me versus actual Mr. Stroll, but yeah, we were a second a bit behind him before the pit stop phase, so rich and high, utilise any fuel mix we've got left, utilise any battery that we've got, and now we put in the laps if we can. Cars are in the pit lane. Cars have come out of the pit lane, and Stroll's got further ahead of me. There he is going through turn 1, and that really hasn't worked. The mediums took a little while to get up to temperature, but once they worked for me. Clearly my car enjoyed the medium tyres a hell of a lot more than they enjoyed that Williams. Hamilton now, Bottas in the pits has fit his medium compound tyres. He's going to the end of this Grand Prix. Hamilton then is the car ahead of Lance Stroll. Not too sure what tyres he's on, but yeah, Stroll did not enjoy the mediums. Unlike the soft tyre, where he was more than a match for me, through the middle he was painfully slow on these mediums. His corner apex speed was just atrocious, and that meant I set myself up for a move, and I figured I was not going to waste any time behind Lance Stroll. We needed to make a move sooner rather than later. It was just going to be wear, and I saw how slowly he was through that section on that previous lap. So here we go, lap 20, just more committed through the left-hander, understeered wide due to dirty air, got myself a little bit closer, and before Bottas could strike, I strike versus Stroll, just down the inside. He turned in and then saw to turn out of the corner, which was a much smarter move for him. But Sergio Perez now in the pits. Further cars are in the pits for their second pit stop of the Grand Prix. These are the ones that we are racing. Everyone after this is going to have made their final pit stop. Sergio then, we're going to get ahead of him after his two-stop strategy appears to have not really worked out for him. We're up into P8 with the potential to gain further positions, but we've got Lance Stroll trying to attack me once again into turn 1, similar to earlier on in the Grand Prix, but Lance, you haven't got it this time around. Those soft tyres or those mediums aren't working for you as well as the soft tyres did, so we're just going to defend it through to turn 2. We've drifted out very wide, but we were able to get on the power and stay ahead of the Williams, and we were able to pull away from him by later on in the lap. More cars leaving the pits on their soft compound tyres now. That's Ricciardo and Hülkenberg, and we've found ourselves, due to our strategy and due to our unexpected pace, I'm going to say, on the medium tyre, we found ourselves up to P6. Now, looking like it's going to be P7 very quickly, because Bottas has found some speed, and he just propelled past me into turn 1. There was absolutely nothing I could do about that, but P7 still a very excellent position for us there. Stroll, you can see, has definitely fallen back. He definitely doesn't really have a lot of pace. Now, I was saving battery and fuel for this point. Nico Hülkenberg in the Renault, my new rival for this weekend, and my rival for the championship. Not the championship, but P7 in it, which is effectively the championship for Formula B. He's now attacking me. He's on soft tyres and has a quicker car than me. So we're going to have to utilise all of the resources we have available, which is extra fuel and extra battery, to try and defend from Hülkenberg, and we hang him out to dry through turn 2, push him out onto the dust, and that enabled me to keep the position and make it stick. But now Hülkenberg gets, again, just like everyone, better exit out of the final corner and just surges past me, ducking to the slipstream for a little bit of help into turn 1, nice and late on the move. Hülkenberg realising again that just turning in is only going to result in a collision, and that put him into the clutches of the Red Bull. But the Red Bulls had to pit, actually. The Red Bulls pulled off at the side of the road. It's made a retirement there. So now Hülkenberg, once again, we race into the flag. And this race to the flag, I feel as if it's going to mean I'm going to have to be defending myself for the first couple of corners every single lap. It's now lap 29. Hülkenberg still attacking me. And more to the point, I'm coming under pressure as well from Carlos Sainz. Hülkenberg has built back up, and every lap, you can see it now, I'm pulling out of the corner on the racing line to get the most optimal exit I can, because my exit is so shocking, and immediately pulling to the right-hand side of the circuit to prevent Hülkenberg or Sainz, whatever Renault is attacking me, from getting any slipstream. They're already going to be getting DRS. They're already getting a better exit because of the compound and tyres. And just look at it there, just pulling once again to the right-hand side. That is the one move I'm making, though. You're seeing it now. Look, I'm not doing anything else. That's just straight line it down towards turn 1. There's always a Renault on my left-hand side, so I can't retake the braking zone. It's a totally legal strategy. Before anyone, you know, I'm just concerned I'm going to get any backlash, but I nearly put it in the grass. Wasn't properly paying attention there, but it's now Carlos Sainz, as we come to lap 31, that's actually pulled ahead of Nico Hülkenberg. He's now going to be racing me to the flag. So what can Sainz do? He can get up behind me, and he's actually going to take a very daring look around the outside of the fast left-hander at turn 5. Carlos thought about it. That goes to show the difference. Hülkenberg knew when to make the move, was out of the final corner into turn 1, whereas Sainz, in his hot-headedness, you know, Spanish, if that's got anything to do with it, I suppose, tried to make the move as soon as possible. But Sainz, at the end of that lap, realised, no, this is the better place to make the move. This is where Nico's nearly had me, but just continue to be later on the brakes versus the Renault. And then that actually put Sainz in the clutches of Hülkenberg. And Nico Hülkenberg was able to overtake his teammate and actually get in position for another move on me as we start lap 33. I've just noticed as well that I lapped within 16 thousandths of my personal best of the Grand Prix. So the tyres still giving me life. Tyres still giving me grip. It's just the Renault's got a better chassis and better downforce than this Force India. And they're on a softer compound of tyre. Now, obviously, the tyre is wearing out. And it actually meant I could do a personal best on lap 33 of the Grand Prix. And I was able to pull far enough ahead to not have to defend my line into turn 1. That then meant that I was too confused with the regular line and butchered turn 1. But got to defend myself coming onto the final lap of the Grand Prix, down towards turn 1. Here comes Carlos Sainz for one final attempt at me. This is the only real overtaking spot on the circuit, unless you're carrying that much more speed. And defended textbook like I have for the last 10 laps of the race. Just defend it nicely on the inside line. But that then meant, interestingly enough, look at this. We come through the chicane. I'm in P7 here in the Force India. Then you got Sainz P8, Hülkenberg P9, and Perez P10. Both cars of two teams within 2 seconds of each other on the circuit. Max Verstappen wins the Hungarian Grand Prix for the Red Bull, but the one-stop proves brilliant for us once again as we get P7.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
So here come our winning drivers today, and what a race it was. There's been a big push at the factory lately to get these cars ready, and we can see the fruits of that labour today as Red Bull lift the winner's trophy.
So there you have Max Verstappen wins the Hungarian Grand Prix ahead of Kimi Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel there. So I said obviously before that the Red Bull's going to be more in the hunt this weekend, and that's exactly what Verstappen did. Took advantage of the chassis underneath him, put it on the top step of the podium with Raikkonen coming home second, Vettel third, Hamilton fourth, Bottas fifth, Grosjean sixth there for Haas. Once again, just doing absolute bits for that team. We moved up to seventh with Sainz, Hülkenberg and Perez rounding out the top 10. So that's Raikkonen again closing in on Hamilton's Drivers' Championship lead. We'll take a look at the standings in just a moment. But Pierre Gasly as well, I feel as if worthy shout out. He got that Toro Rosso up on the verge of the points. He was only 4 seconds back from the back of that train. You can see there, look, a minute and 1 second, 0.8 back from Verstappen was myself. And then only 1.3 back was Sergio Perez. So going to be a battle for the remainder of the season between the Force Indias and the Renaults, that's for sure. We'll see who comes out on top after the final race at Abu Dhabi. Moving to the drivers' standings, Kimi Raikkonen moves within a point of Lewis Hamilton there on the standings, with Vettel a further 30 points back. Verstappen now jumps Ricciardo, so Verstappen on a run of form now, and we close up to within 4 points of Nico Hülkenberg there. Carlos Sainz adrift on 28 points, but he's looking to try and turn things around for him, because he's going to need to support Hülkenberg there as it comes up to the constructor standing race, where, as I mentioned there, it's Force India versus Renault for the fourth place spot in the old constructors. The team standings, if you will, we very even on points this time out, so we're still 15 points back from the Renault team, but we're not going to roll over, we're not going to die, we are going to attempt to fight. I'm not worried about anyone behind us, you know. Haas can continue to get one guy in the points as long as we get 2 guys in the points. That is what is important. But we tie everything up with a lovely chat with Claire.
Great work out there today. How do you think it went? It's safe to say you're smashing everyone's expectations, isn't it?
I feel like I get this question every weekend, Claire. You're going to need to come up with something a bit more interesting, but everyone's driving well. And at the end of the day, it's a team sport. Big up the team.
Did you struggle to get through all that traffic today?
There was a lot of traffic at certain points, and I do feel as if the car felt better than it normally would do. And I just talked about the grip, because for some reason on my mediums, the car performed better than everyone else's.
What happened with your fuel strategy today?
So another question here, this is another one where I was just pushing the car too much on Rick's throughout the race, and that clearly gets noticed. I don't know if that's the game telling us of a way just to give us a difficult question, but again, it's just me taking it on the chin for that one.
Well, that's everything.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with underfueling the car at all. But we move it on here to update on the rivalry, since we have Nico Hülkenberg there. So we're leading the rivalry against Perez by 1 singular point, because both of them set a faster lap than me during the Grand Prix, but I was the one to get the better finishing position. But we're drawing versus Hülkenberg, and now we're going to move on to the resource points, because we got a big old batch of resource points, and we're going to go on a little bit of a spending spree just here. We're going to get the car nice and ready for the Belgian Grand Prix, which is of course coming up next. My rep going up with all the sort of midfield teams, aside from Haas. I apparently can't interest them too much, but we move on to another negotiation with the contract. I feel as if it comes up every 4th race. That's fine, so I was prepared to offer, look, I will get 15th in qualifying. I will hold my hands up and say I'm not the best qualifier. It's just not my strength. But I promised them 11th. I wanted to say 10th. I wanted to say I would get points every race, but the game wouldn't let me. So I'm going to put everything on here that I want. The game had offered a couple of bits to me with an initial contract, and I basically said, look, give me level 2 everything. Give me level 2 race bonus, upgrade, simultaneous and pit stop efficiency. I don't feel that's me asking for too much. Now, I haven't got much room to play with, but I would rather go a bit too ballsy to begin with and then retract from there rather than sell myself short, because sometimes if you sell yourself short, obviously you then don't get the opportunity to redo the contract. This is my one opportunity. I want to push it. Let's see what we get.
We're asking for too much here. We need to make some compromises.
So it didn't work, which I think is fair enough. So I was just like, okay, fine. We'll drop the pit stop efficiency. Everything else is much more important.
All right, the terms have been agreed. All that's left is to sign the paperwork. You'll be on this new deal from the next race weekend.
That's worked out very favourably for me. I wanted the additional for the pit stop to try and help me with the overcuts, but that's not happening. That was fine. So, 2,500 resource points. What does that buy you? I'll tell you what it buys us. It buys us 2 drag updates for the Belgian Grand Prix. We've already got a powertrain unit upgrade, a major one coming for the Belgian Grand Prix. It also buys us a weight reduction. And looking at it as well, it's going to buy us some tyre wear. We have got a huge package coming for Belgium to the car. Honestly, if all of these minor upgrades come through successfully, we are going to jump astronomically. We're going to become the 4th best team. Look at it. Like, we've got that major engine power upgrade as well. I'm so excited for the Belgian Grand Prix. 5 updates. And you see that bar. It's going to put us right up there with Renault. It's going to help us astronomically in battling them for the Constructors' Championship. Not only for myself, because I feel like I can drag the more out of the car than Perez. But obviously, he's an AI. He's programmed to do as well as his car lets him. Whereas this makes the car better, and it's going to help out Sergio and hopefully both of us getting 7th and 8th place finishes, and the Renault's down in like 9th and 10th. Obviously, we're still going to have to keep an eye out for the Haas car, because that is a very strong competitor in this year's game. But guys, that has been the Hungarian Grand Prix. I hope you have enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, and comment any feedback down below. I definitely feel like I did better this time out. The car worked better on the circuit than I expected. Clearly, obviously, a poor exit at the final corner left me very vulnerable into turn 1, but thankfully it's very hard to overtake at Hungary. Next time out is one of my top 5 favourite circuits. It's the Belgian Grand Prix, and if that package comes, we are going to be a force to be reckoned with around Spa-Francorchamps. If you don't want to miss that one, and you don't want to miss any single update that comes to the channel whatsoever, then please consider subscribing and enabling them notifications to be kept up to date with all the content that comes to the channel. I will see you all next time.